It was out of this world, literally. It was wonderful. Just continue to be in prayer for the Marion County Detention Center and the ladies' service. And I think what Miss Bev, can you turn me down a little bit, Bubby? Miss Bev has a new ministry, is One Bridge to Hope. It's kind of helping them get adjusted to life after being in jail, so be in prayer for that also. And if you want to flip over with me already to Matthew chapter 14. Okay. So first I'm going to start with just a little bit that I wrote from my prayer journal, just a little excerpt where I sat down this morning, just to let you in on my life this week. But when I first got my thoughts for this morning, I was very excited. Focus. What a great topic. Something that God's been dealing with me for a few weeks now. But the problem is I cannot focus for the life of me. This morning I tried, and this week I've tried to focus, but for some reason this week it's just not been there. And there's just so much going on, so much happening, just so many things all around. It just feels like I'm trapped in a hurricane. It's like the only words I could use to describe it. But it's a good thing that I know the God that holds the storm. So, like I said, that was just a little snippet from my prayer journal this morning, and a little insight to how my week's been. But this morning we're going to be talking about focus, about what focus is, how we focus. I might even break out Cody's little whiteboard. It'd be a good time. But how often do we say that we're focusing on God, but we actually focus on God? Because whenever I tend to say that I focus on God, usually it's because I'm praying about a problem or praying about an issue or praying about something coming up. I'm not exactly focusing on God. I'm focusing on everything that's going on around me. So then can I really say that I'm focused on God? I don't think so. But I'm going to start off with 3 different parts of focus. Like what I think makes up three different things that make up how we focus and what is focus. I made fun of Cody whenever he did this, and I'm probably going to spell half the stuff wrong. You can't laugh at my handwriting either because it's really bad. Okay. So the very first part of focus, the very first thing that I think that makes up how we focus and what we focus on would be our heart. And if you're taking notes, I really encourage you to take notes, because this section is going to be me asking a lot of questions that I want you guys to answer this week. So I would really greatly appreciate it. I'm sure God would greatly appreciate it if you take some notes this morning. But because you're not going to have time to answer all these, God might start to deal with you on them right now. But I want you to take this back through this week and really dive into it in the secret place and see what you find out from it. But heart. Where is our heart at? So where is our heart at? Where's your heart at this morning? What are your desires? What are the desires of your heart? And the two big ones. Who do you say that you are in your heart, deep down, the only place that you know yourself completely? Who do you say that you are? And in that same deep down spot that I would consider the foundation of your heart, who do you say God is? Where is your heart at? What are your desires? Who do you say you are? And who do you say He is? Those are all major questions that I think makes up the foundation of our heart. And if I told you I'll go to Matthew 14, that's my bad. I started in Matthew chapter 6, starting in verse 19. It says, "Don't store up treasures here on earth, where moths eat them and rust destroys them, where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be." So where's your heart at this morning? What are the desires of your heart? Because the desires of your heart will show you where your heart's at. What is it that you're praying for whenever you get into the secret place or whenever you ask for prayer? What are you focusing on? Which is what the message is about. What are you focusing on? Because that's going to show you, that's going to tell you where your heart's at. And also, your heart is where every major decision in your life comes from. Every true major decision in your life comes from your heart. Yes, you have to think about it, and yes, you have to, you pray about it, but deep down inside, when you make the decision with your heart. And there may be all these little decisions that you make along the way, but the major decisions in your life that you make is with your heart. So it's imperative that you make sure that your heart's in the right spot with God, because if it's not, then you're apt to make a wrong decision or apt to do something that you haven't really prayed about. Because whenever we begin to have communion with the Father, then He also shows us the truth about who we are, and that becomes foundation and concrete in our hearts, so that in turn affects every decision that we make. So, who owns your heart this morning? You or God? Because if it's you that owns your heart, then your focus can become unclear and clouded. But if it's God that owns your heart, then every focus and every decision and everything that goes into who you are is going to be concrete in His truth. Number two. The second thing that makes up focus is our mind. What is it on a daily basis that you think or meditate on? I hope I spelled that right. Because that's going to look really embarrassing when Cody goes back and listens to this and sees I spelled it wrong. But I think I'm good. I think meditate's fine. Might not be able to read it, but it's there. What is it that we think or meditate on a daily basis? Let that sink in for a minute. Because whenever you think about a day-to-day basis, a lot of times our minds are focused on things that are going on around us from day to day, which is it's not necessarily a bad thing. because, you obviously have to be aware of what's going on. But whenever we're thinking of those things, so Cody, a couple weeks ago, and I know we've heard this a lot of times before, he gave the illustration of the dove sitting on the shoulder about taking every step with the dove in mind. It's okay to look at the different things and the different emotions and different stuff that's going on around you, but you need to do so with the dove in mind. You need to do so with the Holy Spirit in mind. You need to do so with God in mind, so that everything that we do is uplifting the kingdom and not, tearing apart people or going from our own flesh. So what thoughts do we think towards God and other people? Whenever someone cuts you off going down the road, what thoughts do you think towards people? Whenever your boss comes up to you at work and really irritates the fire out of you, what thoughts are you thinking towards them? Ow. Are you uplifting them, or are you tearing them down? Well, let's just say that this message hit me pretty hard whenever I was receiving it. So, yeah. That's a big one for me, I got to be honest. Work's a really hard place for me to try to uplift people, which it's bad that I say that, but it's really hard for me because, in fact, just needs prayer, I'll tell you that. But we really do need to try to uplift people even whenever they irritate us or whenever we don't see eye to eye with people. Because what's going to be better in the end? Having an argument and going through this whole process in your mind of tearing someone down, or going ahead and uplifting them for the kingdom, like praying for them, praying for something that they got going on. You don't necessarily have to make it about work. Like, you don't have to say you're the best boss ever, because that's not true. But anyway, but uplift them in the sense of, they're trying, they're doing their best, and what they can do, and you never know what they got going on at home and in their own lives with God spiritually. So always try to uplift them in that sense, not necessarily work. Because if you focus on work, all you're going to see is negativity in some cases. And so the next question is, what thoughts of the enemy do you struggle with thinking them as being true? So what thoughts of the enemy do you struggle with thinking is true? Because I know every single person in here, the enemy pops in your head sometime throughout every day trying to discredit who you are and discredit who God is. Trying to make you believe opposite of what is truth. So if you think about it, try to identify the different ways that you know, and whenever new things come up, that the enemy tries to whisper lies into your life. Because if you can identify those, that's the first step in becoming concrete in who you are, because you know that you're not that. And then you can go and combat that lie with the truth in the Word. And I'm going to flip over to Isaiah chapter 26. Bubby, if you want to put it up so everybody ain't got to flip over. Start in verse 18. No, I'm just kidding. 3. Sorry. That was a big jump. I'm in the wrong... Okay, we'll get this right here in a second. Isaiah, not Proverbs. Isaiah 26, starting in verse 3. You will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you. Trust in the Lord always, for the Lord God is the eternal rock. So when we keep our thoughts in the Lord, it leads to perfect peace. When we begin to focus on other things, it leads to turmoil and chaos and cloudiness. Maybe it's not, we talk all the time, like maybe it's not even bad things, but whenever you get your focus off of who God is and off of God, even things that are good can cause cloudiness and causes separation, even though you don't mean it to, between you and God. So then it makes it hard to think thoughts that God would want you to think. Does that make sense? So it's important that we keep every thought in the Lord, and in that it will be perfect peace. And when we go to Him with every single thought that we have, it makes us be able to trust Him whenever things do come up. Whenever we have to go to Him for something that's going wrong or whatever the case may be, it allows us to be able to trust Him and have peace in our hearts that He's going to take care of the situation. And then letter 3. Okay. Number C is come on, guys. Okay, so the third part in focus that makes up focus is our tongue. Yes. And this is a really big one. Really, 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 really big one. And if you haven't figured it out, they all tie in together. But this will be the word that I spell wrong, I promise. I hope that's right. Yes. Yes. Excited. Ouch. Running out of board here. I feel like a question mark is like the hardest symbol to write because I never know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if it's like just a straight line or if it's like a curve. Anyway. Sorry. So, appreciate it. The tongue. What are you speaking into life each and every day? What are you speaking over other people every single day? And most importantly, this is a big one that hits me. What are you speaking over yourself every day? What are you speaking into life in general from day to day? Always take account of what you're saying and what you're speaking anytime you're saying or speaking anything. Because we're going to go to that verse here in a minute, but in Proverbs 18 it says the power of life and death lay in the tongue. So anytime we say or do anything, we're either speaking life or we're speaking death. So whenever we're speaking into life, I'm going to be completely honest. Whenever I'm in MFAC, I say MFAC sucks. That's not uplifting MFAC. That's not taking care of any situation that's going on there. That's not doing anything but causing me more negativity and speaking death over my situation. So if I'm consistently speaking death, how in the world is God going to be able to work through me or through someone else in me to make that situation turn around? So also, what are you speaking over other people? Just like the instance I gave a while ago about me and my boss. Am I building them up or am I tearing them down? Am I building my coworkers up or am I tearing them down? Even though I may be upset, or even though something's not going completely right, or even though other situations may play an effect here, am I building them up or am I tearing them down? And what's going to do more good? It's kind of a no-brainer. You want to uplift everybody. And like I said, the next one is probably the heaviest one. What are you speaking over yourself? Are you building yourself up daily? Or are you tearing yourself down daily? Because that plays a crucial part in how you're able to focus. Because you cannot focus if you're consistently tearing people down or if you're tearing yourself down. If you're consistently speaking death, then you cannot focus on anything that God's trying to do. You can't focus, you can't lock your eyes on His and be in a relationship with Him like you're supposed to be if you're consistently speaking death. And so, we'll flip over to Proverbs real quick. That's where I was at a while ago. Chapter 18. Wise words, starting in 18, verse 20. Wise words satisfy like a good meal. The right words bring satisfaction. The tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. So we know that the power of life and death definitely lie in what we speak. And just like whenever we were talking about the thoughts that we think or the decisions that we make in our heart, we have to take each thought, each decision, and each thing that we speak in mind with, like, if we're carrying the Holy Spirit on our shoulders, because that's what we're doing. We always have the Holy Spirit, and we're always supposed to show that His goodness and who He is. But if we're not putting our focus on Him, we can't do that in our day-to-day life. And each one of these things, like I said a while ago, works together. Because if your heart's not in the right spot, then your thoughts and the things that you speak are not going to be in the right spot. And if the things that you think are not in the right spot, then you're definitely not going to speak things that are in the way that they're supposed to be spoken. And if you definitely, what the Word said a while ago is that that's not the part that I read, but the things that proceedeth out of the mouth of man shows where their heart's at. It's not exactly what it says, but it's me paraphrasing. But if you speak out of line and you don't speak life into other people, it definitely shows where your heart's at. Because if you're not speaking life, then there's something inside of you that needs to be brought back to life through Christ. And if you will flip over to Psalms 26, it's going to be a lot of flipping. Should have told y'all that. Come on. Oh my goodness. I got these bookmarks that make it to flip through and find things, which is supposed to make it easier. Okay, Psalms 26. Put me on trial, Lord, starting verse 2, and cross-examine me. Test my motives and my heart. For I am always aware of your unfailing love, and I have lived according to your truth. So put me on trial and cross-examine me and test the motives of my heart. So I've had to do this in the past, and it really, really, really worked for me. If I catch any one of these things not in line with the way that God intends for it to be, if something's failing that I see in my life that's not lining up with the way my focus is, then I go back to this. And especially in 51, whenever David says, examine my heart, I can't remember exactly how he puts it, but search me, O God. That's how he puts it. Sorry. I ask God to search me and show me what exactly is off in my life, what is off in my focus. And I can confidently say, because it's happened for me several times, that any time that you go and ask God to show you what's going on, He will. There may be some searching that you have to do also, and there may be some things that you don't want to see, but God's going to show you what's off in your life and show you how to fix it so that your focus can become clear again. So each little part, your heart, mind, and your tongue, all work together to create focus. That was kind of like a base little thing that we had to get through to kind of get to the next part. But how many of you people have ever shot a bow and arrow before? You can raise your hands. Yeah, hey. Okay, so give me just a second. I said you people. After I said that, it sounded kind of weird. I'm sorry. Is this my bow? And just like I said, each part, your heart, your mind, and your tongue make up how you focus and how you see things and how you make decisions. Whenever you're shooting at a target, I kind of dropped the ball. I was going to go to Walmart and get a target, but I didn't get a target. But whenever you're shooting at a target with a bow and arrow, there's a lot of different things that you have to take in consideration. Like, obviously, how far you are from a target goes into consideration. Your locking point, how you base yourself, and how you turn yourself goes into if you're going to hit the target or not. And the sights play a crucial part in whether or not you're going to hit your target. So, if one of these things is off, are you going to be able to hit your target? No. So, if you don't have sights on your bow, and you're not one of those awesome people who can shoot a longbow without sights, because I definitely can't do that. But if I don't have sights on my bow, there is absolutely zero way that I'm going to hit that chair in front of me. I might get lucky, but 9 times out of 10, there's zero way that I'm going to be able to do that. So, we'll say my target is over here. If I'm not squared away right, that can affect my shot. If I'm not anchored right, if I'm anchored up here, which I can't move my hand or it's going to be catastrophic, but if my anchor point's not right, that's going to affect my shot. If I can't see through the peep sight clearly, that's going to affect my shot. If I turn my bow this way or that way, that's going to affect my shot. If my release is not working properly, it's going to affect my shot. So with that being said, if any of these things are off, if you're struggling with any issue in your mind or your heart or speaking life and death into things, then you're going to miss your shot. Your focus is going to be off. Anybody that's ever aimed at anything, have you heard the term aim small, miss small? Has anybody ever heard that? Aim small, miss small. And that really is the case, because if you aim at a target that's this big, and that's what you're focused on is the target that's this big, you're going to hit somewhere in that target. You're not going to hit the bullseye, usually you're going to hit somewhere outside of it. But if you aim at a target this small, you're going to hit somewhere closer. So an example that really come to mind is whenever Bubby and I go disking from time to time. If you've ever seen the basket that you throw into when you disc, it's about that tall and has chains coming off of every one from the top part to the bottom part. And whenever you stand back, you try to throw it at the basket. Well, if you aim at the basket, 9 times out of 10, you're going to miss. But if you aim at one single chain, that brings your focus in tighter, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to make it. If any of you guys want to try to disc, y'all are going to be expert discers now. But the same thing happens spiritually. Whenever we open our focus from God to include everything that's going on around us, we're going to miss. Things are going to be able to get in to our line of sight that's going to cause us to miss what God's intending. I know a lot of people in here probably have iPhones, I'm sure, except for Bubby. But I'm not sure if it's the same on an Android, but on an iPhone, you got this irritating little thing called autofocus. And if you've ever taken a picture and your autofocus is off, then it distorts the entire picture. So, equally, whenever you're shooting something, to whether you're taking a picture, you want your focus to be dead on. You don't want it to be this entire picture, because if it's the entire picture, then it distorts everything. So if you allow all these different circumstances and allow all these different things to come in, then you're not going to be able to focus on God the way you're supposed to. And so I heard a podcast from Damon Thompson. It's been probably 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I'm not certain, but the revelation that he got from the Lord just hit me in such a way that I never, ever, ever thought about it this way before. And it legitimately changed the way that I think. I know we say that all the time, but it literally changed the way that I thought about my entire life with Christ and how I think about focus. So, we use temptation. We'll throw that out there just as an example. Whenever you're fighting a temptation, how often do you find yourself saying, well, I shouldn't do that. I don't need to do that. That's bad. I don't know why it's attacking me. Or we won't even use temptation. We'll go with a situation like, I don't understand why this is happening, God. I don't understand why I have to go through this. I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand why you let the enemy do this to me. I don't understand. We always have all these questions when something happens. But when we put our focus on those questions, even though we're not putting our focus into doing that thing or onto the storm or whatever's going on, we're still giving power to the storm, or we're still giving power to that thing that's tempting us. Whenever we put our focus on the Lord and narrow our focus to only be locked in eyes on eyes with Him, then everything else will be able to, the wordage that he used was to bow at His feet. Whenever we're fighting temptation or whenever we're fighting all these other things that's going on, if we put our focus on that, then that's all we're going to see. And I'm not just saying ignore everything that's going on, but whenever we put our focus on God, everything around us comes into agreement with what He says. But if we're not putting our focus on Him, then how will we ever know what He's saying? If we don't lock our heart, our mind, and our tongue in with the Word and in with what He's saying and into our relationship with Him, then we're always going to be open to all these different things and circumstances going on around us. And like that picture, whenever you're trying to take the picture, if your autofocus is off, like I said, it distorts the entire picture. So if our focus isn't on the right thing, then it's going to distort something going on in our life. Our relationship with God is going to suffer because our focus is off. Even if our focus isn't on doing the bad thing, but if our focus is on saying, God, help me stay away from that, or God, I don't know why I had to deal with that, or you're just giving power to the enemy to be able to hold that over your head more. So then you enforce the hold that the enemy has on you whenever you put your focus on those things instead of God. But whenever you put your focus on Him, it allows Him to take care of the situation. We sang the song last night in the jail, This Is How I Fight My Battles. When it looks like I'm surrounded by You. So what are we going to focus on? That we're surrounded by, or are we going to focus on being surrounded by Him? Because if we focus on the things that are going on around us, we're going to miss Him 100% of the time. Thus, our situation becomes heavy and burdensome, and we're not going to have peace like the Bible says we're supposed to have peace. But when we put our trust and our focus on Him surrounding us, we're going to be 10 times better off than if we had ever noticed that the problem was there in the first place. And then everything begins to work out the way that He wants it to work out in our lives. Even though we don't see it and we don't understand it, we understand that He is good. So then absolutely everything works out. And that really freed me from a whole lot that I over my entire life. Because a lot of times I put focus and I put effort and I give a lot of my time and energy straight to the enemy in saying, well, I shouldn't do that, or I need to stay away from this, or I need to stay away from that, or whatever the case may be, this is happening, or this is coming against me, or how am I going to do this, how am I going to do that? Whenever I put my focus on those things, it seems unbearable and it seems impossible. But whenever I align my focus, whenever I get my heart and my mind and my tongue set straight, I'm going to hit the shot 100% of the time. And just like you may have to make adjustments to your sights, or may just have to make adjustments for the wind and different things like that, God's going to show you what adjustments you need to make in those situations. But you have to be focused on Him to do so. Because if not, then you're not going to know what to do, which leads to further confusion and allows the enemy to be able to come in and distort whatever picture you're trying to look at, or distort whatever situation is going on even more. So that was kind of scattered, and it felt like it was all over the place. But where's your focus at this morning? That's the biggest thing. That's the main takeaway of this entire message. Where's your focus at this morning? Is your heart in the right spot? Are you confident in who you are in Him? Do you meditate on the things day to day that you're supposed to meditate on, or are you thinking thoughts about the enemy? Are you scared that you're going to fall back into what you used to be? Are you scared you're going to go back to your old ways? Or are you scared about what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what, if you're focused on Christ, then none of that's going to matter. And number 3, what are you speaking into the life day to day? Are you uplifting day to day, or are you consistently speaking death? What are you focusing on? What is your focus on? Are you focused on following Him, or are you focused on everything going on around you? Because if I have to be honest, over the past past few years, honestly, I've been focused on everything going on around me, or what I'm not doing, versus focusing on who He is. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow. So just take a minute. Like, I might ask Bobby to put on a song here in just a second once I get back there. But what is your focus on this morning? Where's your heart at? Where's your mind at? And what are you speaking? And if you have any kind of trouble or issue with any of those things, ask God to show you. Cody did preach a message. It's been a long time ago, and I don't know why I remember it, but it was a message he preached about being snapped back into place. If you find yourself off, we'll even go back to last week. If you find one of your puzzle pieces missing, go back and ask God to show you, what went wrong and how to adjust for it. Because our perfect shot that we could always hit is intimacy with the Father. And if you can't focus, then you're going to miss. No matter what's going on, you're going to miss.